Imagine turning your favorite digital photos into real darkroom prints. This video is going to open up a whole new world of creative possibilities for you. It's not complicated, it doesn't take up a lot of room, and it doesn't cost a lot of money. We're going to go step by step through a simple process of taking any digital file and creating a timeless silver gelatin print from it. But that's not all. Stick around and you can grab my free Photoshop template along with directions to use it. That way you'll be able to do this anytime with ease. So let's just jump in. The first thing we're gonna do is open the provided template in Photoshop so that we can print a digital negative. Now you'll notice that there are a few layers in the layers palette, but don't worry, this really is pretty straightforward. You're simply gonna drag and drop your file from your computer onto the layer that says drop image here. From here, you can clip the image to the square by holding the Alt key, and this creates a clipping mask. And what that's gonna do is make the top layer adhere to the bottom layer, or make it visible wherever that square is. This will basically confine your image to the square dimensions that I've laid out, creating a nice clean edge around the image. Now you can transform and position your image here to size it correctly. Alternatively, just rescale the image however you really want it to look. Now, once you have everything the way you like it, simply make the N contrast folder or group visible by clicking the little eye icon next to it. And that's it, your negative's now ready to print. So the next step is to actually use a printer to print out the digital negative onto a transparency film. Now I use an Epson P600 printer, and I'm using Fixon's just normal inkjet transparency film for this. Now you should be able to get great results with just about any decent printer, but you may have to go in and tweak things and test things a bit for that printer. Now I'm providing a 5x7 and an 8.5x11 template, and you can get both of those at the link in the description below. And to use the 5x7 one, what I do is I take the 8.5x11 transparency sheet and I trim it down to 2 sheets of 5x7. And if you do trim the transparency film down, just make sure you keep the print side up the whole time so you don't lose track of which side is which. Now, if you're using the 8.5x11, there's no trimming needed. Next, you're gonna put the transparency sheet into the printer, and then I'm going to select Ultra Premium Presentation Matte, and I have to select this on the printer. And the important thing with all of the following settings is that you're just consistent. Find something that works and then just don't change it. Now we're gonna go back to Photoshop, we're gonna hit print, and in the first dialog box, use these settings. Color handling, printer manages color. Next, check the send 16-bit data. The render intent set to perceptual. Next, click the print settings. Go to medium size and select media. In this case, we're gonna use 5x7. Click on printer option, printer settings, media type, ultra premium presentation matte, print mode, advanced black and white photo. Go to the output resolution, hit Super Photo 5760 DPI. You're gonna uncheck the high speed, and you're gonna want to check the mirror image box. Next, click the advanced color settings tabs and set the tone to darkest. Then we're gonna click OK. Finally, go to the advanced media control, set the drying time to print head pass to 5 and the paper thickness to 3. Hit OK and then save this as a preset for future use so you know you're staying consistent. Now hit print to make your negative. Now before we get into the darkroom and actually make this final print, do me a favor, hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. All right, now on to making our print. Now under safe light, we are going to take that negative and place it face to face with our photo paper. And then we're gonna take either a heavy piece of glass or, like what I have here, a contact printing frame to put pressure and make sure they're nice and flat and tight against each other. And then I also cut some black strips from just a black foam pad that I cover the very edges because I don't do a borderless print, and you can see there's edges along. And if you don't cover those, they'll turn black, and it kind of annoys me. And the other thing I do is when I don't want the actual step wedge on there, I just cover that as well. So here I'm using my enlarger as a light source, and it is convenient because you can use variable contrast filters, and I already have a timer hooked up to it, but you can literally use any light source for this, even a bare bulb. And most of those can be fitted with filters and a timer as well. So you do have the option of using variable contrast filters to adjust the contrast, but I will also show you later how you can adjust the curve to change the contrast to actually match your negative to your paper and developer. So for this template in the normal contrast curve group, what I would do is start at about a 2.5 to 3 filter with normal development time, and then you're gonna make a test strip to determine your exposure. Once you've made a test strip, you can evaluate it and you will know what the proper exposure should be. So then you can go ahead and make your final print at that exposure. Now for the Ilford warm tone paper and the warm tone developer I used, the developer is pretty low contrast, so I ended up actually just using filters to get the contrast up instead of messing with the curve at all. And I ended up with a 3.5 filter with 16 seconds of exposure. So you're gonna have to do some experiments to see what actually works best for you, but there's flexibility in actually making the negative and in the printing stage, which is really cool. And that template's gonna get you in the ballpark, if not a perfect print, right off the bat. So you can dial in this curve to match your paper, light source, and developer even better. And this is where this little step wedge comes in. So let's go back into the computer here. So first we're gonna go in here and we're gonna duplicate the N contrast group, and we're gonna rename the copy of that to something clever. Hide the invert layer in the folder, and the image is gonna look a little wonky, but don't worry about it. And then double click the curves icon to open that up. Now what we're gonna do is we're specifically gonna look at the print and this little gradient that we made. What we're trying to do is linearize this. So we have to look at this and make adjustments on the computer. Don't try and judge off of the actual screen. So anywhere in here that it doesn't look like there's an even gradation or the density looks off, we're gonna go and find that in the curve and adjust it. And to do that, we're gonna select our eyedropper tool, command click on the different density patches in Photoshop on the screen, and that's gonna show you where on the curve that density is. So if you need to brighten a patch, select the closest point, click on it, and use the arrow keys to move it up. And you're gonna keep the curve smooth by adjusting the points around it as well. Now if it needs to get darker, you're just gonna use the down arrow keys and vice versa. So you wanna kinda keep it nice and smooth, but you're gonna make those adjustments in there. After making the adjustments, make another print with the gradient and then tweak from there. But this is how you can exactly match your negative to, like I said, your paper, the light source you're using, the filters you're using, and your developer. And if you enjoyed this video, I think you're gonna love the next one right here.